And so you just got a Canon M50 and you're wondering, what settings do I need to change out of the box? Well, we're going to be talking about that in today's video. Hey everybody, my name is Tyler and I make videos about video production, workflow, camera gear, and audio gear. And so in today's video, we're going to be talking about the best settings you can change for your Canon M50 for video. So when you first get your Canon M50 out of the box, there's a lot of stuff that kind of needs changed. First thing is the menu system. It gives you a guided menu, which is really aimed at people who have no idea really what they're doing and don't want to really mess with their camera in depth and with the settings. But if you're going to be shooting video, you're going to want to get out of that guided menu and into the standard menu that you might be more familiar with. So all you have to do is hit the menu button, then go over to the fourth menu, and then go under the menu display settings and switch it from guided to standard. This is going to give you the menu settings that look much more like other Canon mirrorless and DSLRs. So the next thing you're going to want to change is how the camera handles the microphone, either the internal mic or the external mic. So if you go back to the menu on the camera settings, on the first page, if you go down, you can see sound recording. Hit that, and then you're going to want to change that from auto to manual. Now you would choose disable if you want to completely disable any audio on the camera, but set it to manual, and then you'll have access to set the recording level. This is going to really vary depending on whether you're using the built-in mic or an external mic and whether that external mic has a decibel boost. You're just going to have to try it out and see what works best for the microphone that you're using. And so the big reason why you're going to want to do this is because whenever it's set to auto, whenever there's no noise, it's going to really raise the gain because it's searching for that noise. And if you would either yell or make a loud noise, chances are that noise is going to clip and then it's going to automatically bring the auto gain levels back down. But it's just not a really good way to record your audio because the camera's kind of guessing when you're going to say something and maybe how loud you're going to say it. You're much better off setting your audio to manual. And so the next thing I would recommend changing is remapping the shutter button on the camera to actually start and stop video. And so we're going to jump back into the menu, and under the camera settings on the fifth page, you'll see BTN function or button function. Press that. You can change what the half press does and the fully press does. I definitely recommend changing the fully press to stop and start movie recording. And so while we're talking about changing button functions, let's jump back into the settings, go back to the wrench, and on page 5, you can see custom functions. Now, changing some of these button functions are definitely going to help you make quick changes on the fly whenever you're using your camera. That way you don't have to dive deep back into the settings. And so if you open up the custom functions button and you go over to where it says custom controls, then you can change what all of these different buttons do. For me personally, this is what I use. I know a lot of other people use different things, like the trash can to turn on and off the display. Personally, I use the trash can to turn on and off peaking. I have the flash button set to white balance, and then autofocus, manual focus is set to manual focus. And then one that I really should probably change is the plus and minus button to change that to zoom in and out. That way, if I'm using 4K, I can easily zoom in, set my focus, and zoom back out because autofocus with 4K on this camera isn't really that great. It doesn't use dual pixel autofocus. It's contrast based, and you're probably going to get better results if you just manually set your focus and leave it at that. And while you're thinking about setting up your custom function buttons, there might be one that you really want to consider using, and that is to using one of the buttons to actually turn off the display. The Canon M50 doesn't have the greatest battery life out there, but a lot of people use the custom function of the trash can to actually turn the display off. That way, if you're in between shoots or you just want to turn your display off because you're not recording at the moment, but you don't want to turn your camera completely off because you want to be ready to record when something would happen, all you have to do is set it to one of the buttons, press the button, it turns the display off, and then if you press the shutter, it'll turn the display back on, and then you're ready to go. Now, the next setting you're going to definitely want to check out, but maybe not necessarily change right now, is the image stabilization setting. So back under the menu, still in the camera section, go back to the fifth page and then click on IS settings. And so the camera doesn't have built-in optical image stabilization. Basically what this setting is saying, do you want to use the image stabilization that's built within the lenses? Because some lenses don't have an option to turn it on or off. So if you wanted to, you could turn that off. And then down below that is digital IS, which is what is inbuilt inside the camera. It's digital. So you can either disable that, enable it, or use enhanced. I usually have it either disabled or enabled because you can get some weird, funky results if you have it in enhanced. Really the best way to do it and to see if you need it is to try recording a clip of you either walking around or maybe something you normally would be recording if you're a vlogger. Try it with it disabled, try it with it enabled, and try it with enhanced and see what you like best. So there's one little quirk about this camera that I kind of find a little bit annoying is that there's a sensor right here in front of the viewfinder that if you cover it up or kind of close to cover it up, it'll switch the display to the viewfinder and then back to the display screen. And so what you're going to want to do to change that is go into the wrench, go to the fourth page, and go to display settings. Here you can change display control from auto to manual, because what I found is that if I'm adjusting something on the microphone, or if I'm just simply moving my hand across to go adjust a setting, sometimes it trips that sensor and it turns my screen off, turns the viewfinder on, and then the screen back on. And it's just a little bit annoying. It's nothing that's really going to make or break how the camera functions, but I just find it more reliable to change this to manual. And then you can choose whether you want it only to be on the viewfinder or only on the screen. Now this change isn't actually a settings change, it's actually a menu change. And in the Canon M50, they give you a My Menu setup. So if you go to the star inside the menu, you can actually set up and create your own menu. You can add pretty much whatever item you want to register for that line. Flash control, exposure settings, metering, white balance. You can pretty much build your own custom menu for the functions that you use the most often that aren't available through a single button press on the outside of the camera. And so this is definitely something you want to consider setting up, especially if you want to be really quick with your camera. That way you're not diving 5 pages in whenever you're trying to change something like a custom button function or the way the flash works or something like that. And so the last thing we're going to go over is how you set your movie mode. And so whenever you set your dial to the movie camera or the movie setting, it's going to ask you to choose a mode. And so you can choose the movie with auto exposure, which the camera gets to set the shutter speed and the aperture automatically, or you can choose manual where you set everything. I would highly recommend that you choose manual, because if you don't, you're letting the camera make decisions that it really shouldn't be making by itself. Usually your shutter speed should be set to double of whatever frame rate you're recording. So for example, if I'm recording 30 frames per second, I'm going to want my shutter speed to be 1/60th. And then it's just better whenever you set it manually. That way you're not getting weird video footage that looks fine 1 second, then it looks just kind of weird, or the motion looks a little bit different later on in the video, and you really can't do anything to change that post-production. But I would definitely recommend you stick to manual. That way you have control of the camera. You can set the aperture, the shutter speed, the ISO, white balance, all of that stuff, and you don't have to just assume that the camera is going to make the right decision. And so that's going to be it for this video. I just want to go over a lot of the settings that I changed on my camera to help it function better for me and for video. Like I said, a lot of the custom functions, customize them to whatever works best for you. But definitely recommend you change the menu system, your sound recording, the way that works. And this really does help make this camera work better and just function better overall. And so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any other tips for changing settings in the Canon M50, leave them down in the comment section below. We're glad to be reading some of your guys' submissions. And if you use the Canon M50, let me know how you like it. So far, I've really enjoyed this camera. Super lightweight, portable, and it works really well for whatever I use it for. And so I will be having a review coming out here in the next couple weeks. But that's going to be it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, hit the thumbs up button. Also subscribe for more videos. Hit the bell so you're notified whenever new videos go live. And make sure you follow me on all my social links. They're down in the description below, especially Twitter and Instagram. I'm Tyler Miller TV on both of those platforms. And so thanks again so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.